Hello everyone, my name is Link02 and today this is a special reaction from me on the video made by FBE called This Is My Story and hashtag Black Lives Matter. So yeah, link in the description down below, at least to their channel. So the reason why I'm reacting to this is because recently there were so many how should I say, riots and all the commotion happening in America, um, and I remember it all started with George Floyd killed by the police officer. And known to you guys that George Floyd was African American, and the reason I am reacting to this is because, as a white person myself, I should say that this is not right. That there is this sort of racism happening in America, like almost every day. I'm not gonna judge the system which is in America. I'm not here for that. I'm just gonna say that it's not right. Black lives matter, and we should respect their rights and see them as equals, and never act in a racist way. So okay, enough talking about me. Let's just see how African American reactors and participants of the cast of FBE think about this, and will tell us their story.
Hello, my name is Anais Martin.
Kaylin Cooper.
Deontay Macon.
Dominic Williams.
Rael Augustine.
My name is
I
Don.
remember every single one of them.
Brian.
Vivica.
I'm Reagan Jackson. And I'm Peyton Jackson.
Faith Lavon.
Jamela Gray.
Kennedy Zimmett.
Kayla Harvey.
Ruby Hayes.
I'm Shar Jasso.
Ulysses Gonzalez.
Shanita Moore, and this is my story.
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 This is my story. And this is our story.
I was about 9 years old. I was at my friend's house and we were playing outside with her white neighbors. They wanted to go back to their house to play, and the little sister came up to me and said that I'd have to wait outside and that I couldn't come inside because her parents did not like black people in the house. At 9 years old, I couldn't understand why somebody would say this to me, and I couldn't understand why people wouldn't want me inside of their home because of my skin color. To this day, almost every time that I leave the house, the fact that I'm black lingers in the back of my mind. Whether I'm going out for a walk with a hoodie on and I can't put my hood on because I might look suspicious, or how sometimes I go to the grocery store and I'm followed by security, or when I'm driving and a cop appears in back of me and my heart races. It's 2020 and we're still having to fight to let people know that our lives matter. You can't be silent about this. You have to speak up.
When I was 15, walking home from school, I had a pair of white women split the road like they were walking next to each other out of a grocery store, and they saw me walking. I was probably about 15 yards away 20 yards away before I was even next to them. But they saw me, immediately clutched their bags and pulled out their phones. One of them split ways and stood at the doorway of the store they just walked out of, while the other one went pretty much in the middle of the street to avoid being standing next to me, to avoid me just walking by, going home from school, just because they were that scared that I was gonna do something, just because I'm black. Just because I'm black. Didn't have a hoodie up. I was raised and told and witnessed on the news, having your hoodie up as a black man walking down the street's not a safe idea. The cops will assume you're a thug. People will assume you're a thug. I didn't have a hoodie on. I'd shit. I didn't even have any fucking snacks in my hand. And I felt like that easily could have been a Trayvon Martin situation, if either of those women were armed or was really that racist.
As a black woman with the platform that I have, I feel like it is right for me to speak about social injustice that goes on in America every single day. I live in it. I spent 4 years at my university fighting social injustice. I got to have fun, but on the side, I was in the library up until 4 a.m., writing letters, documents, researching my own college degree program, trying to fight racial injustice. I've never felt like I had an opportunity in my college program. I never felt like I was ever going to get the same opportunity in the industry that I want to go into. There's been plenty of times I've just been even afraid to speak up. But being 23 years old today and feeling comfortable enough to tell people out loud that I'm willing to die to speak for those who aren't being heard is sad. Death doesn't scare me, because if I don't speak for those who can't be heard right now, what am I doing with my platform?
I grew up in part of the Jim Crow era. That's part of my experience. I remember as a little girl, I went to all black elementary school up until 6th grade, and then around 7th grade. On the weekends, going uptown with my father, there was a little ice cream parlor, and blacks could not go inside the parlor to get ice cream. We had to stand outside and receive our ice cream cones through a window. And one thing I want to say is that, these memories never go away. I've heard some psychiatrists say that we have 60,000 or more hours of memory on like a tape recorder. They never go away from the memory, and they never go away from your body. It's like a pain body, and you just carry this with you throughout life. It's like there's a knife in you, and then someone just keeps twisting the knife. It's like continued trauma, and you just never get over it. It's like it's compounded trauma.
I was coming home one day. I was in my work truck. I used to do HVAC, do installation, and supposedly I ran a red light. So this white lady cop pulls me over. I'm already nervous. Even though I'm in my work truck, I'm nervous. I put my hands on my steering wheel, and the white lady cop's walking up. I already seen her, in the rear view. She puts her hands on her hip where her gun's at. I'm like, oh, man. You know what I'm saying? She walks up to the window, had my window rolled down. And I asked her, I was like, what am I being pulled over for? Oh, you ran a red light. I was like, I didn't run a red light. Yes, you ran a red light. So she was upset that I was crushing her, that I ran a red light. So usually you ran a red light, they ask you for your license, your registration, your insurance and stuff like that, the regular stuff. No. She said, turn the car off and step out the car. I said, for what? Don't question me. Get out the car. I said, what the hell's going on? So get out the car. She spreads my legs. She searches me. You got any drugs on you? You got any weapons on you? You got any weapons on your truck? You got any guns in your truck? You got any drugs in your truck? I said, yo, it's a work van. You see on the side of the truck it says HVAC? She wasn't trying to hear that. And then she calls back up. 3 or 4 other cops pull up behind. Then she puts me in the back of her cop car. So her and her other, white officers are talking. I'm in the back of the cop car. I'm thinking to myself, I was like, man, if I look like Leonardo DiCaprio or Dylan from 90210, I was like, I wonder if she would have pulled me over. Was it because I was a black man you pulled me over and you say I look suspicious? I'm coming home from work. So then they came to the back of the cop car. They said, oh, you're clear to go. Everything's cool. You can keep on moving. We're sorry. I said, sorry? I'm like, what was all that for?
My situation, my stories are, I am 100% sure, remarkably similar to every other African American person. So what I would choose to do today, rather than share specific stories about being called the N-word or being followed around a store or not being helped in a store or being pulled over by the cops or losing opportunities, rather than do that, I would just want to say and put the message out there that it's time for African Americans and those that consider them allies and supporters of African Americans to do what needs to be done. Voting. Do what needs to be done. Voting to get the people in our country that are in office that feel as if African Americans and their lives are not valuable. Get them out of office.
A few months ago, there was this girl at the park, and I wanted to play with her. So I asked, "Do you want to play with me?" And she said no. I was wondering why, so I asked, "Why?" And she said, "Because you're black." And I didn't really understand what that meant, but she didn't want to play with me. So I was upset. And I don't think other kids should have to go through what I went through, because it doesn't feel good to be rejected by other people. And a few weeks ago, my mom, my sister, and we were riding bikes, and a group of kids came up to us and called us an N-word. And I didn't know what that meant, but I saw their faces and I saw what they were trying to say to me, and I was just upset, and I don't want other people to feel the same way that I do. So I just encourage you to be nice to other people, no matter what race and no matter what skin color they are, to be kind and treat others the way that you want to be treated.
Now, I know what I need to do, and what I need to do is spread awareness and protest peacefully, because we need a change in America. When you see something, you act upon it. For example, the motto that everybody knows, the motto that we were taught in elementary school growing up as children: if you see something, you say something, and it's time to say something, and it's time to act.
I grew up in Kansas in a small town, and I remember during my 6th grade year that I was experiencing a lot of name calling, the N-word, tar baby, etc., being pushed around and all that. And I remember being really, really frustrated and expressing that to my mom. And she said, "Faith, the next time someone calls you the N-word, I want you to ask the teacher what it means." So the next day I go to school and we're in class, and my white classmate calls me the N-word. And I remember being really, really scared and my heart beating so fast. And I raise my hand and I stand up and I ask the teacher, "What does the N-word mean?" I said, "He called me the N-word. What does it mean?" I remember her being flustered and turning beet red and almost angry even. And she sent us both to the principal's office. And I remember sitting there and the principal asking me if I was okay, which surprised me. And then asked me what had happened, and I told him. And I remember my classmate just saying, "I didn't say that, I didn't say that." And I remember just looking at him. I didn't say anything to him. I just stared at him. And then I looked back at the principal and I said, "Can I go now?" And he said yes. And I remember leaving that principal's office feeling empowered. It was a profound experience for me. And I don't know if I don't remember if he was sent to detention or if he was suspended. But I do know that from the 6th grade to the 9th grade, I don't remember being called the N-word or being bullied or pushed around. And I was profoundly conscious of racism. That experience created a no nonsense in me, a self-advocacy, not only for myself, but for the underdog, a fearlessness. I go right through fear. I am scared, but I will go right down the middle of it. And it created this importance to ask the question, that are icky, that are tough. And even though you may not get the answer that you want or get an answer.
So this happened about 6 years ago. I just arrived to LA from Northern California. I was looking for work and I found a job as a server at this high-end fancy restaurant in downtown LA. About 3 to 4 months in, one of my bar managers, he approached me, and it happened so fast, I don't even know if anyone even saw it. He approached me and he like whispered like a racial epithet, like a racial slur in my ear. And then he proceeded to, he grabbed me by the genitals, he grabbed my private area. So I wasn't really angry or like upset, I was really, really scared. And I didn't know who to tell or who to talk to. You know, I just kind of held it in. And it was kind of like this downward spiral for me as just a person. It was very dehumanizing. So like I would be in the parking lot like drinking, like crying my eyes out. Like I just didn't want to be in that type of environment, you know. And it just kind of eventually I left the job, but I'll just never forget what that one action did and what it put me through emotionally, simply because of my differentness.
The day before my junior year of high school, a white boy at my school and his friend at another school made a video saying, "F all niggas, we will kill all niggas," and then proceeded to post it all over social media. So the next day, everyone goes to school thinking that these kids are going to receive some sort of punishment. Instead, they have a great day, and they're actually escorted out of their classes because our school was afraid that the 3% of the black kids at our predominantly white school would harm them. Yet, we're the ones that felt threatened because they were the ones that threatened us, not the other way around. The kid at the other school actually received a punishment, and the one at ours didn't until the video that was released on social media reached the news station, and I guess our school felt obligated to give him some sort of punishment, which was an in-school suspension. This incident only occurred a few times during the year, and the whole time this kid never felt pressed and he never apologized for his actions.
I had to teach my son to make a copy of his license, registrations, and car insurance and have it up on a dashboard, because I feared that if they ask for license registration and he goes in his glove box, he will rattle and he'd think it's a weapon and they will shoot him. So I always told him, my hand's on the dashboard, sir, license registration's up here, I have the originals in there. If you want me to get it, I can give you this right now. That's what we have to do during this time.
Put simply, I've been through a lot just because of the color of my skin. I've gotten into fights. I've been racially profiled at job interviews. I've been stopped by the police with no probable cause. I had somebody yesterday say, as a joke, because of what's going on, I'm surprised that you haven't been shot in the street yet. So there's a problem. And we need everybody to stand with us to find a solution.
I live in a country that, despite how I choose to follow the laws and try to abide by them so I can live to see another day, most people see me as a potential hashtag, as the next video of brutality, as another common statistic. And that's not okay. I have 2 brothers and 1 little sister, and every single day I'm in fear that this world is going to harm them. I'm in constant fear for my own life. And we as a people, in general, need to do better. People love to say all lives matter, but until you value Black lives the same way that you value all these other lives that you do, that statement makes no sense. I want to live long enough to see a change in this world.
Me being mixed, I am half Black and I'm half Latino, and I am one of the lightest people in my family on my Black side of the family. And every time that I see them or I leave or I depart from them, I always say, stay safe, make sure you're good, you know, call me when you get there. And it's that to me that maybe one of these people, one of the families of the victims happened to say that for the last time and didn't get a text back, you know, and just saw on the news that their loved one had passed. When I tell you that hurts, you know, like, that hurts.
This entire thing is horrible. Innocent blood was spilt. He didn't deserve to die. And the cop should be charged with more than this 3rd degree. He deserves 1st degree. He did that on purpose. He knew what he was doing. People were telling him to stop and he didn't stop. He's completely in wrong for that. I don't see how people can defend him after what he did. He murdered someone, an innocent person. He's dead now. We can't bring him back. He's gone. Do you understand that? He's not coming back. One of these days, it could be me, or my dad, or my brothers. Just because of some stupid mistake. I could get pulled over and shot any day. You know, I've been called the N-word so many times. Before I knew what it meant, I was called that. When I was 4, when I first started going outside, I was called that. Not just by kids, but by adults. By random people. It's unjustified.
Other black people or other African Americans would tell me that I'd be okay, you know, because I'm lighter skinned or because I appear to be a little bit lighter than they are. And then when I got around my other race of friends, whether it be Caucasian or Asian or Latina or anything like that, they would tell me that I would be oppressed because no matter what, I'm still black. And they're right. I just really wish that, you know, one day people realize that we're all human, our hearts all beat the same, we all feel the same, and we all should care about one another, regardless of what we look like or what we think.
Both of my parents grew up Jim Crow. You know, like, this is generational, this trauma that's inflicted with the very troubled and violent history of this country. It needs to be addressed, and now seems to be, I guess, the day of reckoning, where you got to either put up or shut up. Clearly, we are living in 2 different Americas where people can afford to put on blinders to blatant social injustice, blatant systemic racism. We won't see an end to this until everybody really stands in it and walks the walk and talks the talk. So that's why it's frustrating to me as of now.
I've grown up in Sherman Oaks, Los Angeles, and I've considered myself very grateful where I've grown up in a middle-class family, and I've been lucky enough to attend private school education. But with that being said, I still have the disadvantage of being a black man in America. In recent times, we've seen a lot of brutality. I'm not sure if you can hear the sirens in the back, but I live in a quiet neighborhood, and there's a lot of chaos going around in our world right now. I think that it has been a really big eye-opener for people who aren't black to see the constant struggle that we have to go through. I should never have to feel afraid walking from my school to my home or from my home to a grocery store, yet I do. Black people have always lit themselves on fire to keep America warm, and now that we're done being burned, the response is bitter and cold, and that's unfair, it's unjust, and with no justice there is no peace. Thank you.
What can I say about this? I can say nothing. Really, I cannot say nothing. if all of them had these types of situations where they were either called the N-word or just humiliated in front of others, and if that thing happens occasionally in America, that's not right at all. That's all I got to say. However, there always have to be limits. If you say Black Lives Matter, you do not resort to vandalism and violence, because I saw on the news that black people attempted to rob and destroy local businesses, property of white and blacks as well, just because maybe they thought that they were poor and they were doing this like out of need, for money, for luxuries. I don't know. The politics say that it was sponsored by my country, Russia. It sounds really obnoxious and weird to even think about it. Anyway, I'm not gonna talk anymore. I'm just gonna say thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, then please hit the like button with all of your might, subscribe to my channel, and remember that Black Lives Matter, but do not condone vandalism in any sense.